Hello there, everyone. Jim here, the father of Fantasy for the Ages, the father and son show where Zach and I get together and talk about fantasy, science fiction, and other nerdy stuff we enjoy. Today, I've got a Just Jim episode for you. Zach is off this weekend from recording, so it's just me coming with one of my passions and interests to share with you. As usual, I'm drinking something for our recording, but no booze. It's just hot chocolate. It's been really unseasonably cold here in the Pacific Northwest, and I'm tired of it. It's got to be spring. You'll be watching this in March. It's like, come on, give us some spring. Below freezing temperatures in suburban Portland? I don't think so. So, just trying to warm myself up with some hot chocolate today. I hope you're doing well today. I'm doing fantastic and ready to talk about a topic that's really fun and enjoyable for me. You've seen the title. I'm talking about The Walking Dead and just kind of the coverage of what an incredible, epic, all encompassing franchise this has become. If you enjoy this episode, simple reminder like the episode, and we encourage you to subscribe to our channel and look for the other ways in the show notes that you can get in touch with us. When writer Robert Kirkman and artist Tony Moore first created this comic book series called The Walking Dead, going around pitching it, trying to get somebody to pick it up for publishing, I'm sure they had no idea what this was going to actually turn into. They managed to get it published all the way back in 2003, so 20 years ago. And while Tony Moore was the original artist, he didn't stick around all that long. He was replaced by Charlie Adlard, who then was the main artist for the rest of the run. I think that switchover came around episode 7 out of 193, so it was pretty quick. Tony Moore was around for the cover art for a little longer. There were other creative people involved with lettering and coloring and other elements throughout it, but Robert Kirkman, he stuck around for the whole haul. It's his creative genius that wrote the storylines that have really made The Walking Dead into what it has become. This one writer, so creative, putting all these twists and reveals and shocks into every storyline from episode 1 all the way to episode 193. And again, I think he was just out there to write a really good story. There's no way he could have envisioned where it was going to go. Now, I first came upon these comics thanks to my younger brother, Patrick. 5 years younger than me, he'd gotten into comics back in high school when I was already off to college. And he never let go of that interest. He really got into comics. He did a lot of drawings and copying, learning how to do Spider-Man and the X-Men and various other ones that really interested him. As adults, both with families, we started getting together for Thanksgiving. Now, we lived in different places around the country, but we were often close enough we could make that drive. We didn't have to fly, which is crazy over Thanksgiving. So we'd trade off. And what that turned into then is a shared interest in various hobbies like technology, geeky, nerdy stuff, comic books. And he was still buying all these comic books. I had not. But generous young man. He would let me take his comics that he'd already read and kept and take a whole load with me when I would visit for Thanksgiving and then head home. And I'd have all year to read all the comics he'd collected. That first year, it was a ton of them. After that, it was a year's worth. And every year, we'd do that for a number of years. Well, one of those years, the comics that he shared with me included the early episodes of The Walking Dead. And I was entranced. I mean, next level. These were fantastic, which led me to then buy them myself, and I do own all the episodes now. It's no surprise to any of our regular followers, I'm a zombie fan. Going all the way back to George A. Romero's Night of the Living Dead in the 60s, I watched it later, I wasn't around quite yet then. But since, discovering that, if there is a zombie film or book or TV show, I'm likely to have checked it out. The quality of the genre has its highs, has its lows, but what I found in Kirkman's comics were definite highs. Such highs. And clearly, I'm not the only one who feels that way about The Walking Dead. The evidence is in the output that's now available. So let's consider here today what the Walking Dead franchise has produced. First off, the comic series itself, running from 2003 all the way until 2019. No simple feat. I mean, sure, there are many comics that have had much longer runs, but plenty that have not, and others that have short snippets and then they're gone and then they come back. But no, we've got a continuous run from 2003 to 2019. And it only ended at that point because Robert Kirkman said, "That's it. I'm done." He had this story arc he figured in his mind, the grand story he's telling, and he finished it. And he even exceeded it just a little bit. But then he's thinking to himself, and where else can I take this? And nah, quality control in his brain was saying, "Dude, you're done. That's it. Wrap it up." So he did. He wrapped it up. And if you were reading these as they came out, as I was, the ending kind of came as a shock. I mean, no one saw it coming. Not even the publishers saw it coming. Kirkman and his team at that point had actually put out fake, dummy outlines and covers for what was still to come in the next few episodes when all of a sudden 193 drops and it ends the series. So they hid it from everyone. That was something he was good about throughout writing The Walking Dead, though. These shock reveals, these occurrences you just were flabbergasted by and didn't see coming. He ended the series the same way. Dude decided to go out on top because there were still plenty of people reading these. There was no dwindling. People wanted more. But that's all he wrote. I'm doing a reread of the series now. It's actually my third reread. It's so good. It's even better than the first two reads, as every quality story should be. There are currently 11 special comic editions separate from the main thread, features that are on specific characters, backstories, or side tales. And I actually haven't caught all of those. Some of them I have, some I haven't. So as I'm doing this reread, I'm going to pick up those ones that I'm missing. The earliest one was back in 2012, a Michonne feature. Michonne, I can't say anything today. A Michonne feature. The latest one is on Clementine, a character we meet in one of the video games, which I have played. Next, after we move on from the comic series, these comics got a brand new boost in popularity by some TV show that came out. Yes, The Walking Dead was adapted for television and premiered on AMC in 2010. So within the first decade of its run. The show was a hit. It ran for 11 seasons. I've watched them all. There's another episode on my thoughts on The Walking Dead TV show. And it also launched the careers of a number of actors. I believe there are many keys to the show's success, including the great acting, but also the high production value, the intentional and well thought out changes from the comics that they made in the adaptation. Sometimes when literature and content is adapted for the screen, directors and writers decide to improve upon it or to make it different because they have certain elements they want to emphasize in a story. They want to bring their own take on it. That's not what they did for the TV series, at least as far as I look at it. What they did is they made sure to stay true to the story and keep the general themes and feel of The Walking Dead on the screen. But they changed up some of what happens, how it happens, when it happens, to keep it fresh, to keep us guessing, just like in the TV or in the comic series where you never knew what was going to happen. That was part of its fun. They reproduced that in the TV show. If they'd just done exactly what was in the comics, we'd be missing that element. Instead, they brought it brilliantly, having things that happen to one character now happen instead to a different character here. Have a character who makes it to the end die shockingly midway through the series. Yeah, things like that happened. We're like, what? and it kept us riveted in watching the show. That was great. The show's success has spurred additional TV series, each with its own focus and perspective, but still true to the world that Robert Kirkman created in his comics. We're getting to see in a variety of different venues how characters are managing this apocalyptic world. Because this is a character-driven story at its core. So first off, in 2015, Fear the Walking Dead began. And this one is still ongoing in its 8th season. Well, that's about to drop later this year. This is a companion or parallel series to the main one, and there are some character overlaps. I haven't finished. I'm a little behind on this series. I just finished season 4, and I'm actively watching now. I don't know how that happened. I had watched the first couple seasons right when they came out. Life got busy. I got back to watching it last year, worked through season 3, season 4 early this year. I just finished it up, actually. And we'll be moving on to season 5. I don't know how I got off the rails there. It's so good. Distinctly different from the original, but the same feel in some significant, important ways. Then we've got The Walking Dead World Beyond. There's 2 seasons of this one. I have not seen it yet. They dropped in 2020 and 2021, and they focus on young people who have grown up during this zombie apocalypse. They don't really have a concept of what life was like before. So what has it made them into? How do they take on the world? I'm interested to see that. There's also an anthology TV series, Tales of the Walking Dead. 6 episodes that dropped in late 2022. I've only seen one of them so far. I do need to watch the rest. But they've got some recognizable actors, kind of cameo roles coming in to do some significant, because they're one-off episodes. You just get a story set in this world. It's cameos from certain actors, but there's also some characters that are relevant in the core series that now you're seeing something more about them. And there are 3 direct spin-offs now in production that were announced when the main series had its finale in late 2022. The Walking Dead, Dead City, which is going to take the characters of Negan and Maggie and create more story for us. The Walking Dead, Daryl Dixon, because he's become such a popular character, even though this was a creation pretty much for the TV show. There's not the same kind of Daryl Dixon anywhere in the comic book. So this was great. I love Daryl, and they're doing something completely crazy with him if the rumors out there are true. I'm looking forward to that show. It's supposed to drop later here in 2023. And then there's an untitled production telling more adventure of Rick and Michonne, because they're going to get back together. There's going to be something. She's gone off to find him, and I think she's going to find him, and they have their own spinoff now. Less details are known about that. In addition to the various TV productions that have been spawned by this comic series, there's also been 4 web series tied to the original series that were released by AMC, accessed through their website. Now you can get them in other ways. So in 2011, 2012, 2022, and 2017, there were these multiple webisodes that showed up on AMC Connected and telling more of the story of The Walking Dead. Fear the Walking Dead has also had so far 4 different webisode showings. So 2015, 2016, 2019, and 2022. And since this one's still going, they could do more. Just another way to give us content coming to the screen. But this franchise does not stop there. We've got all this comic book and screen content, but it's expanded much further. The Walking Dead, the game, came out as an episodic adventure by Telltale Games that you could play on. Well, I played on my iPad. I was like, what is this? Oh, this is cool. And now it's available in pretty much any gaming platform out there. The game was dropped in 5 episodes over a few months back in 2012. And its success resulted in a season 2 version that was dropped in late 2013, running into 2014, because again, episodes came out over a few months. So like the first game was called Season 1, The Walking Dead, the game, season 1. And then there was season 2, again, episodic. Season 3 came out in 2016 to 2017, and a final season of the game was 2018 to 2019. You, you could play later seasons without playing the early seasons, but you get the best understanding what's going on by moving all the way through it because it's telling and then extending a story of certain characters. A fantastic. So again, originally it was out in mobile devices, but very quickly was on everything you want to play things on. A more traditional first-person shooter game, The Walking Dead Survival Instinct, came out on Windows, PlayStation 3, Wii U, and Xbox 360 in 2013. Unlike that first game by Telltale Games, this new one was kind of a flop. It really was just a traditional first-person shooter where you can shoot zombies. And there were other games doing that better. There were some issues with mechanics. You can look, the reviews are horrible, but some people got to play. On the other hand, The Walking Dead Road to Survival came out in 2015 as a role-playing game strictly for mobile devices, both Android and iOS, and that one did exceedingly well, including spending time as the #1 game in the Apple App Store. Newest now in the video game realm is the 2021 The Walking Dead Survivors, also specifically on Android and iOS, doing very well. Basically, people love the story. Now, if you create a game that's clunky and hard to play, okay, that's going to tank. But as long as the game works, people want the content. I get that. And there are additional video games, but more recently, The Walking Dead Saints and Sinners has become big just in the past 3 years, really, because it's a VR game. Virtual reality headsets, gaming systems are really taking off. So it originally dropped in Steam and Oculus, PlayStation VR, and Oculus Quest, all in 2020. Okay, I have an Oculus Quest. This was one of the first games I bought. The game has kicked my butt. Literally. I mean, the zombie attacks are so real, and you're immersed in this world, and it freaks me out. The heart goes up. I pulled a muscle in my leg last night because I tried the game again because I'm doing research for this episode, and I'm like, oh my goodness, you jump, you twitch, and I'm like, I just spasmed something in my leg, but that freaking zombie was dead. I had to get him twice, but he was dead, and I was not. It's a fun game, and it's been very successful. So there's now a chapter 2 of Saints and Sinners. It's set in New Orleans. I think both of them are. Chapter 2 came out in late 2022 and is going to come out on some additional platforms in March of 2023, which I'm recording in February, but you should see this episode in March. Moving past technology, there are also multiple board games, card games, miniature games developed for fans of this franchise. And some of them look fantastic. I have not played most of these, but in doing my research, I'm finding these. Like the Walking Dead board game in 2011, but also Robert Kirkman's The Walking Dead, the board game, also in 2011. Did you notice the difference? Robert Kirkman's The Walking Dead, okay, that's based on the comic books. The other one is based on the TV show. Different images, basically the same game, but appealing to fans of which one you lean into. Then there was the Walking Dead board game Best Defense in 2013. But we're not done. These were just, okay, games, ways to play in the Walking Dead world, but can we apply it to other things? Sure enough. Monopoly comes out with the Walking Dead Survival Edition in 2013. 2 different editions again, one based on the comics, one based on the TV show. They'll catch whichever fandom you're more interested in. The game is still traditionally Monopoly, but with a great spin onto it applying to the world of The Walking Dead. The Walking Dead Trivia Box came out in 2013, and many more trivia editions after it. The Walking Dead card game, 2013. Risk got into it with the Walking Dead Survival Edition in 2013. I love the map here, the nuanced differences of how you're going to play Risk now in this world. There's so much material to work with as the series continued through the comics, through the series. So we've got things like The Walking Dead: The Prison, 2014. The Walking Dead: Don't Look Back Dice Game, 2014. The Walking Dead: No Sanctuary board game. This one came out in 2016, and what's significant about it is it started as a Kickstarter initiative. It's a well fleshed out game here now, but Kickstarter. Ha. Then we've got miniatures getting into it. So, The Walking Dead All Out War is a tabletop game that came out in 2019, featuring lots of those little miniatures you can put around your tabletop. I mentioned trivia before. I just skipped over one in my notes, but the official Trivial Pursuit got into the game with a Walking Dead edition in 2017. I have so many editions of Trivial Pursuit, but this one I don't think I'll get because Zach and I were the ones that would do this a lot, and he doesn't live here anymore. My wife would play along, but she would be on one of our teams. And with The Walking Dead, she's got nothing. All Out War as a miniatures game was very successful in 2016. So in 2019, they rolled out a new edition, Call to Arms. Again, miniatures. 2020, we had an escape room game created. There's a themed game you can buy, Escape Room in a Box, and they've got different versions of it. One of them is the Walking Dead edition. And then Magic the Gathering got into the game here. I mean, have they really arrived when they have cards in Magic the Gathering? So there's a Walking Dead crossover edition that also came out in 2020. And there are more. Trust me, I'm not listing all of the games that are out there, but these seem to be some of the best, the highest quality, and ones you might want to check out if you love this franchise. Moving past games, whenever there's great content on TV, somebody wants to write stories about it because people will read. Now this one's interesting because we've got comics. So it's literature based at first, but comics are a graphic novel type of approach to things. A book is different. You're telling everything with words now. So we've got some novels. They are going to give us more of the world. They're going to flesh out more that the fandom is hungry for. The Walking Dead universe currently has, to my knowledge, 10 different Walking Dead novels. The earliest came out in 2011, the latest in 2019. Some of these are connected to each other, as you can see in the graphic. And the latest one in 2019 has a brand new author, whereas some of the others were by groups of authors or the same author. This one is like something brand new now. And let's not forget, of course, any successful franchise is going to get out there with merch. Who doesn't want their own action figure, apparel, a mug with roamers and biters splattered all over them? If you want Walking Dead gear, stuff, it's not hard to find. It's everywhere. In researching what else is out there that fans are encountering, I found one other really cool thing I'd not heard a thing about. There's a theme park in Thorpe, United Kingdom, with The Walking Dead: The Ride. It's a redesign of a previous ride that they then kicked off in this new version in 2018 with the slogan, "Those who ride, survive." It looks awesome. I would do that ride, totally, because I can just sit and enjoy. Again, my VR game kicks my butt, but this one I can just sit back and be freaked out. Dare I say The Walking Dead has become a phenomenon? There are fan events all over the world connected to The Walking Dead. People cosplay the characters and the dead like crazy. It's hard to find someone who hasn't at least heard of the franchise. And let's not even start on how much money this has generated for some people. And since people love it, good on you. You picked something that worked and people aren't tired yet. Now, I know some of you are tired. I talk to people about the 11 seasons of the original series and how many people dropped off somewhere in the midst of it. I'm a true believer. I made it all the way through. I enjoyed it. Yeah, there's slow moments. Character development, people. It sets you up for the hits that come, and you know they're coming mid-season and end of season. Predictably, you just don't know which thing's coming. So I'm not tired of The Walking Dead. And I'm glad there's plenty of people out there like me because we still have content coming. The comics are done and the original TV series is done, but everything else is pumping out more content and we've got new spin-offs on the way. We're still going to have content to enjoy for quite a while. Just again, still probably not my VR game on the Oculus Quest, man. I don't think I can take that anymore. I think if I work at it a while, I won't get better. I'll just get more sore. I'll stick to puzzles. All right, that's all I have for you today. I'm going to run our outro here and just want to, again, encourage you, look at all the ways that are shown on here of how you can connect with us. We'll talk to you next time. Oh, look, I'm still here. All right, there it all is. Like and subscribe. Join us on Discord. Look for us on social media. We'd love your support on Patreon. And you get some extra benefits, like being able to join us on episodes and contribute in new ways. And patron-only episodes. All the socials are here, especially the love to see you on Discord. I mentioned that one already. If you have an email, somebody emailed me last week. We respond. All right, that's all I got. Talk to you next time.